The first named woman in human literature was a prostitute. Her name was Shamhat, and the first kiss, the very first smooch in the history of written fiction, was between two men. Their names were Gilgamesh and Enkidu, and today we're going to tell their stories. My name is Dr. Teresa Kadish, and in this video I'm going to retell the first two tablets of the Epic of Gilgamesh, also known as He Who Saw the Deep. The Epic of Gilgamesh is the oldest complete long-form written narrative archaeologists have uncovered. Let me draw you a timeline to give you a sense of just how old this story is. In the middle of this line, we'll put our boy, JC, roughly at year 0, and over here, at around year 2000, we'll put our space future hero, Luke Skywalker. And way over here, at 2000 BCE, we'll put Gilgamesh. The Epic of Gilgamesh was forgotten and buried in ruins for thousands of years, and it's actually only in the past few generations that we've regained access to it. Archaeologists have uncovered a series of tablets that look like this. This is actually a replica of tablet 11, and from these fragments we've been able to piece together the story. And some parts of it are surprisingly similar to stories you might have read in the Bible, like Adam and Eve or Noah's Ark, and those similarities can teach us a lot about how our mythic traditions evolved from here to here to here. So we're going to take a look at the first two tablets, and then we'll compare them to the story of the Garden of Eden and see what's the same and what's different. Sound good? Let's begin. The story begins with a prologue, which tells us that we're going to hear a tale about Gilgamesh, a man who saw the deep, gained understanding, and engraved all his hardships on a monument of stone. Very meta. Gilgamesh surpasses all kings. He built the walls of ramparted Uruk.
We're going to build a wall!
Gilgamesh is a rapist. Specifically, he likes to rape virgins on their wedding nights, before they get a chance to sleep with their husbands. For Gilgamesh, king of ramparted Uruk, people's loins are open for the taking. He mates with the lawful wife. He first, the groom after, by divine decree pronounced, from the cutting of his umbilical cord, she is his due. Yikes. The first great man in history. The people of Uruk, understandably, don't like this, so they pray to the goddess to make Gilgamesh an equal, a man to contend with him so that he'll stop raping their virgin daughters. Good plan. Ururu wet her hands. She pinched off clay. She tossed it upon the steppe. She created valiant Enkidu in the steppe. He was made lush with head hair, like a woman. The locks of his hair grew thick like a grain field. So the goddess creates this strong, hairy, wild man, Enkidu, who's incredibly good-looking and somewhat feminine. And he's out there with the animals, one with nature. He dressed as animals do. He fed on grass with gazelles, with beasts he jostled at the waterhole. With wildlife, he drank his fill of water. And then there's this hunter. He's out there on the steppe too, trapping animals, doing his job, hunting, and Enkidu, friend of the animals, keeps messing with his traps. He has filled the pits I dug. He has torn out my traps I set. He has helped the beasts, wildlife of the steppe, slip from my hands. He will not let me work the steppe. So the hunter goes to his father and asks him what to do, and Dad says that what's needed in this situation is a whore. He tells the hunter to go to Uruk and bring back Shamhat, the harlot. She'll be tasked to have sex with Enkidu, and after that, the animals won't trust him. He tells the hunter, take the road, set off towards Uruk. Tell Gilgamesh of the mightiness man. He will give you Shamhat, the harlot. Take her with you. Let her prevail over him, instead of a mighty man. When the wild beasts draw near to the waterhole, let her strip off her clothing, laying bare her charms. When he sees her, he will approach her. His beasts that grew up with him on the steppe will deny him. What's being introduced here is the idea that sex changes you. It makes you into a man, which means not just manly here, but also civilized, like of the human world and not the animal world, domesticated. So the hunter goes to Uruk. He fetches Shamhat, the harlot, and brings her to Enkidu, and she seduces him like a professional, and the animals abandon him. Shamhat loosed her garments. She exposed her loins. He took her charms. She was not bashful. She took his vitality. She tossed aside her clothing, and he lay upon her. She treated him, a human, to women's work. As in his ardor he caressed her, 6 days and 7 nights was Enkidu aroused, flowing into Shamhat. After he had had his fill of her delights, he set off towards his beasts, and when they saw him, Enkidu, the gazelles shied off. The wild beasts of the steppe shunned his person. Enkidu had spent himself. His body was limp. His knees stood still while his beasts went away. Enkidu was too slow. He could not run as before, but he had gained reason and expanded his understanding. I think I'm going to be thinking about that passage until the day I die. There's just so much in those short lines. It describes sex specifically as women's work, but describes sex workers as kind of like vampires, maybe, sucking Enkidu's vitality and making him limp. And this is simultaneously good and bad. He can't run with his animal friends anymore. He's too slow and they shun him, but he gains reason and expanded understanding. He's about to become civilized. Shamhat shows him how to dress. She took off her clothing. With one piece she dressed him, the second she herself put on. And she shows him how to eat bread and beer, farmer food that you can't get in nature. They set bread before him. They set beer before him. He looked uncertainly, then stared. Enkidu did not know how to eat bread, nor had he ever learned to drink beer. With Shamhat's encouragement, Enkidu gets drunk for the first time. And he gets his first haircut, taming those luscious locks. And they have even more sex. And Shamhat starts telling him stories about the big city. Enkidu learns about the powerful king raping young brides, and after spending a full week with a prostitute, he's learned a thing or two about consent and decides that he has to abandon the wilds he came from to confront Gilgamesh. For 6 days, 7 nights, Enkidu was aroused and flowed into Shamhat. The harlot said to him, to Enkidu, "You are handsome, Enkidu. You are become like a god. Why roam the steppe with the wild beasts? Come, let me lead you to ramparted Uruk, to the holy temple, abode of Ishtar, the place of Gilgamesh, who is perfect in strength, and so, like a wild bull, he lords it over the people. You are just like him. You will love him like your own self. Come away from this desolation, bereft even of shepherds." Enkidu wants a friend. He wants an equal, and he believes that challenging Gilgamesh and his abuses will get him that, and he's right. Meanwhile, back in Uruk, Gilgamesh is having some prophetic dreams, and he tells his mom about it like a good boy. "Mother, I had a dream last night. There were stars of heaven around me. Like the force of heaven, something kept falling upon me. I tried to carry it, but it was too strong for me. I tried to move it, but I could not budge it. The whole of Uruk was standing by it. The people formed a crowd around it. A throng was jostling towards it. Young men were mobbed around it. Infantile, they were groveling before it. I fell in love with it. Like a woman, I caressed it. I carried it off and laid it down before you. Then you were making it my partner." Gilgamesh's mom then interprets the dream, telling him it means that he's about to make a very, very good friend. You're falling in love with it, you're caressing it like a woman, means there will come to you a strong one, a companion who rescues a friend. He will be mighty in the land, strength will be his. Like the force of heaven, so mighty will be his strength. You will fall in love with him and caress him like a woman. He will be mighty and rescue you time and again. After these prophetic dreams, the scene shifts to Enkidu's arrival in Uruk. And of course, there's a wedding happening, and Gilgamesh is getting ready for some ritual raping, and Enkidu is having none of it. In Uruk, at this time, sacrifices were underway. Young men were celebrating. The hero stood ready for the upright young man. For Gilgamesh, as for a god, the partner was ready. For the goddess of lovemaking, the bed was made. Gilgamesh was to join with the girl that night. Enkidu approached him. They met in the public street. Enkidu blocked the door to the wedding with his foot, not allowing Gilgamesh to enter. Enkidu and Gilgamesh then wrestle in the street with everybody watching, just like the dream, and Gilgamesh wins, but only barely, and then they kiss and become best friends. They grappled each other at the door to the wedding. They fought in the street, the public square. It was Gilgamesh who knelt for the pin, his foot on the ground, his fury abated. He turned away. After he turned away, Enkidu said to him, to Gilgamesh, "As one unique did your mother bear you. The wild cow of the ramparts, Ninsun, exalted you above the most valorous of men. Enlil has granted you kingship over the people." They kissed each other and made friends. So there you have it. The first kiss anyone bothered to write about. Pretty gay. To recap, Gilgamesh is raping brides and the people don't like it. so they pray to the goddess, who makes Enkidu, equal to Gilgamesh. But Enkidu is a wild man, so he has to be domesticated by Shamhat, the harlot, before he can challenge Gilgamesh's crime. So Shamhat seduces him, they have a lot of sex, and then they go to Uruk, where Enkidu and Gilgamesh fight, and then kiss, and make up, and start a bromance. Great story. The epic continues for like 10 more tablets like this. Our heroes kill some monsters, they enrage the gods, Enkidu is killed, and Gilgamesh has this existential crisis because he's lost his boyfriend, but all that's for another video. What I want to focus on today is how these first 2 tablets, the beginning of the oldest story in the world, is reflected in later stories, specifically the Garden of Eden. You might have heard of it. Adam and Eve are in a garden, they eat some fruit, they fall, because it's pretty clear that Enkidu is basically like a proto-Adam. For example, both of them are made out of clay. And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. The Hebrew word Adam, literally means earth. Aruru wet her hands, she pinched off clay, she tossed it upon the step, she created valiant Enkidu. Both Adam and Enkidu are introduced to women who bring them out of their bucolic natural state and into the civilized world. After Eve tempts Adam and Shamhat tempts Enkidu, both are said to gain wisdom, wide understanding, or knowledge of good and evil. For Enkidu, this is labeled as mostly a good thing. He gets to go to the city and befriend Gilgamesh and go on adventures, but for Adam, this is something to be punished. Like, take a look at how both stories introduce the men to bread. Bread for Adam means toil. In the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of it you were taken, for dust you are, and to dust you shall return. But for Enkidu, bread means joy. The harlot made ready to speak, saying to Enkidu, eat the bread, Enkidu, the staff of life. Drink the beer, the custom of the land. Enkidu ate the bread until he was sated. He drank 7 juglets of the beer. His mood became relaxed. He was singing joyously. These stories have the same basic structure. A newly created man is separated from his union with nature after meeting a woman. He learns about clothing and bread, but the vibes are super different. In one, sex is described graphically, pleasurably. She was not bashful. She took his vitality. In the other, nakedness is shameful. I was afraid because I was naked, and I hid myself. In one, a prostitute is a main character, on a mission to protect women from rape. 2 grown men kiss and become partners. While in the other, well, yet your urge shall be for your husband, and he shall rule over you. That pretty much sums it up. How we tell these stories matters. We've had these same mythological motifs forever, basically. A man made from clay, a civilizing woman. But how we put these motifs together and the lessons we learn from them has varied tremendously over time. And it's not necessarily true that the most popular version of the story or the one that you learned when you were a kid is the one that will hold the most meaning. For thousands of years, Adam and Eve was the oldest version of this story anyone had ever heard. Its predecessors literally buried under the ruins of forgotten cities. But today we have archaeology and the internet, and we can tell this story in more diverse ways and see how it's changed over time. Gilgamesh is the archetypal hero, the original dude, and he's deeply flawed, and everybody knows it. And that, I think, is why his story is still worth telling 4,000 years later. Thanks for watching. This video is part of a class I'm teaching about Bronze Age mythology. There are links in the description for all of my sources, as well as to join the course Discord server. You can also subscribe if you want to see more videos like this one. Next week, we're going to be reading some ancient erotica, the courtship of Inanna and Dumuzi. I'll see you there.